Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you go follow us, like, subscribe, do the whole bit. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it's called, Twitter, Blue Sky, and Hive. One of those is called X now. I don't know. I guess it's Twitter because you don't tweet anymore. You X.
Yeah, something stupid.
Who knows? Welcome. Sabini's here. Say hi, Sabine. Okay, she said hi.
We've been gone for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we've been lazy, quite honestly. Somebody here just didn't want to do a show, and I was like,
the first week you got really busy, and then last week I don't know what happened.
Just like meh.
Actually, I do remember what happened.
What happened?
Somebody was asleep, and they kept saying, "I'm super tired."
Gotta turn on Godzilla.
And stayed asleep. And then finally, when it was clear they wasn't get up, I said, "Well, don't worry about it, dear." And then they finally got up and then went to work.
Maybe so. Let me fix the lawgiver.
Butthead. I was looking for Butthead earlier.
Oh.
The Beavis is in my office, and she found Beavis. She goes, "What is this?" That's Beavis.
That's Beavis. Not to be confused with Butthead.
No, I found him.
There you go. All right, we have a ton of movies to get through. We're going to try to go as quickly as possible, so it's not a gazillion-hour show. Just a 1 hour. Are you okay if we talk about this first?
Whatever you want.
All right. Tell me about it, stud.
So the first couple of movies we've done came out a few weeks ago, obviously. The Life of Chuck, which we actually saw a long time ago because we saw it a few weeks before it actually came out.
Yeah.
It's latest movie from Mike Flanagan, who is also directed the Stephen King adaptation Dr. Sleep. This is another Stephen King adaptation.
Stephen King short story.
But this is not one of his horror stories. This is actually a pretty uplifting
kind of story.
Film. There's some sadness and some depth and some heart and things like that. But it's kind of an uplifting film when you see it. Like neither one of us have read it, so we didn't know much about it.
I knew nothing.
I knew who was in it.
I didn't even know we were watching.
No.
You're like, come to this theater at this time, and I showed up and we got food. That's all I know. I got excited because it was at the Alamo Draft House. I'm like, I'm getting food. I had no idea what movie we're watching.
But I didn't know anything about it other than, that's not completely true. I wrote articles about it, obviously, so I knew who was in it. I kind of knew the premise, but the premise was very vague. But it was kind of a nice experience to walk into something that you don't know and just experience. And that's really what this movie is. This movie is very much an experience.
It is.
It's told the story of this guy, Chuck, this mysterious man, Chuck, but told in reverse order. So it's broken down in like three, technically 4 stories, I believe, about the life of this guy, Chuck, and the people that are affected around him. Is essentially what it is. It's
really interesting because, like you said, it starts with Act 3. And then Act 2, and then Act 1. But throughout, like the very beginning with Act 3, you see all these posters of like, congratulations, Chuck, on however many years, and bloody. And everybody is like, who the heck is Chuck?
Yeah. But then everybody's inspired by Chuck.
Yeah.
And he just looks like an accountant or whatever. And
yeah. And then part 2, we get a little bit of Chuck finally. As
you're actually just
adult Chuck.
Yeah, adult Chuck, and there's an entire song
and then
dance number thing,
which is amazing, by the way. What's his name is amazing.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Tom Hiddleston.
Yes, it's the guy.
They're all in the same Marvel area.
Yeah, Marvel.
Loki.
But then you finally get to Act 1, which is young Chuck, and then things from the first part start making sense, and you're like, oh,
there starts to be overlap of characters, and
they've been so clever. Like part 3, when you're at the very beginning, like the city, the house, some of the people, and all that, you're like, where are we? And then suddenly we get to part 1, and we're like, wait, that looks like this is this place, and that's that. So it all finally comes together.
And can I just say, Mark Hamill is in this movie. And he plays Chuck's grandfather when he's little. Probably Mark Hamill's best performance, in my opinion, of his career so far.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like this kind of alcoholic, grumpy grandfather, but also has a lot of love. So what starts out as what you think it's going to be this abusive, angry, hateful character ends up being a very deep, loving character with his own problems to deal with. but he was so good in the movie. It's like his one of two Stephen King stories that he's in this year because he's also in The Long Walk that's coming out. But good for him. He's great in the film.
And it's interesting because you're like, well, what makes it Stephen King? I think the way it's told, there's not a lot interwoven, and I think at the end it's one of those where you're like, huh.
Well, I also don't think Stephen King gets enough credit for his non-horror stories.
Yes.
Stuff like The Green Mile, what was the other one? I don't remember. There's a whole series of stuff that he does that are not. Sometimes he does them under different names. Sometimes they're just these little short stories that blend into something bigger. Especially like something like this, when you take a short story and you're trying to make a full film out of it, that takes some expansion and some clever work to do. But Mike Flanagan, who obviously has worked on Stephen King stuff before with Dr. Sleep, and he did something, I think, the other one he did. But anyway, he's worked on some other stuff. Dove right into this, and we got to see like a little bit of an after.
They did an interview with him.
Q&A thing. Mm-hmm. We stayed for a little bit of it. Mm-hmm. We didn't stay for the whole thing, but because they were having some technical difficulties with the connection and stuff, so we ended up bolting because you were tired and already from work or church or whatever you did.
I think I came from work. I don't know.
No, it was from church.
Who knows?
Because it was on Sunday. But you did come from work because you went from church to work, and then you came from work to there because it was one of those Sundays you went to the office.
But the interesting thing throughout this whole movie, it's about the life of Chuck, but then there's a backdrop of the world is ending. And everybody's like, oh yeah, the world is ending.
It was a very...
And I'm like, huh.
Kind of apocalyptic, meets COVID, meets end of times. So then
it's all really just about his life.
Yeah, but you kind of... It's a very... kind of moving, emotional movie, but it's very relevant to today.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of layers of where you can see not only like pandemic stuff that we went through, but the social issue, the political issues, all these different kind of life-changing things that are happening. Where this movie is almost the kind of movie you need right now.
Yeah, it's such a good movie.
It was fantastic.
It really is heartfelt and dramatic and fantastical and all that. But then too, it takes everything that happens out there and brings it back to here with Chuck himself. And then so you start thinking, what would it be if this happened to me? How would that feel? You know, and it's one of those kind of very introspective.
Yeah, and there's a level of it of initially feeling supernatural-like.
Mm-hmm.
Then you realize it's not at all. It's very interesting.
It is. So there's so much to it. We can't tell you what because we don't want to give away.
Yeah, if you've read the story, I think it still translates to tell a good story. And does it justice from what I went back and kind of read up on after the fact. But if you haven't seen it, this is definitely a movie you should experience, just like the people in them.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those that kind of went under the radar. It came and went, yeah. But it's still out there. Please go find it. Please
if you're looking for something different than all the normal sequels and remakes and big popcorn flicks, Life of Chuck is one that's probably will make my top 10 of the year. It was fantastic.
It was really good. Yeah. So check it out. Okay, speaking of all those sequels, prequels, whatever, we got a ton of those to talk about. So here goes our first one, 28 years later, which is nearly 28 years later, I feel like, from the original. When did the first one come out?
If you go down the bottom, you can link to there.
Let's find out.
Oh, is it not working?
Not working. I gotta go find it.
Oh, well, sorry.
I'll find it.
I don't know why it's not connected. Anyway, if you go to the theatrical page on the reviews. No, there.
Okay.
It should be there.
I'll find it. Here we go.
Anyway, so going all the way back to like 2002.
Yep.
I think it is. We got 28 Days Later that was a new take on the zombie-esque world that Danny Boyle directed, was written by Alex Garland, introduced the world to Cillian Murphy. And his penis, and it kind of changed the game because it took they're not really zombies in this movie, but they are at the same time. Yeah, it took away the George Romero level of zombies that we all accept at this point, and we still do. There's still the same rules of zombies, and it took them and merged it with the movie Crazies, where it's turned them more into like these insane fast pace, because in the movie they're calling it the rage virus.
It's a
And
frenzy.
it basically does. It makes them just like they're just crazed, but they run and their eyes are bleeding, and it's this whole thing. But we got that first one. It was a big, massive hit of just changing the game. I think we both loved it, and it kind of set a tone differently that you're not used to with this.
Yeah.
That first 28 days later is still a slow burn.
It is.
When you think about it, I think you think more about the insane creature character things that are trying to kill everybody, and you think it's more action heavy than it really is.
Because to me, I remembered him waking up in the hospital.
It's very much like Walking Dead, but I think this came out before Walking Dead.
And then the part that stuck with me was when he goes to the church, and you think everything's dead, and then he says something, and then all the zombies are, and I'm like, yeah, run! But he didn't know what it was. So do you run?
But it's also one of those prime examples that we've talked about numerous times that pretty much in every zombie movie, the worst key things there are the humans, and so you end up getting that last final act of that film. You get a lot of a blend of everything. But then that course of success of that movie led to the cleverly titled 28 Weeks Later, which they kept feeding on that thing. Which the second one, I think, leans more into the action stories instead of the. Yeah. It's the same story idea. This time you have Jeremy Renner. A bunch of other Idris Elba shows up, a bunch of other people in this one, but it's a little more action-handed. But it ends on a note where the first one ends on a note where it doesn't really have any resolution because you really can't, but you get a little bit of hope. This last one ends on that resolution of the hope because we might have a chance for a cure, and then nothing ever happened. Yeah. After that, it was just kind of ended, and we never saw anymore. Thought it was kind of over. But Danny Boyle popped back out of the woodwork after doing a bunch of other films and reteamed with Alex Garland, who's got his own career as a director now, doing some pretty big movies, and decided to bring us 28 years later.
And I was just calculating. I saw the calculator pop up. It's been 18 years since the 28 weeks, which was in 2007.
But they almost kind of ignored 28 weeks for this one.
Pretty much.
Just for the context. So it's hard to tell if maybe it's happening at the same time on the context of some of the early stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's been nearly 20 years since the very beginning. It's been 20.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about in the context of the story.
Yeah.
Because the end of 28 weeks, they start talking about how more they expanded other stuff. Yeah. For 28 years, it almost feels like it's only talking about what happened 28 days later.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's probably because
we're still in England.
Because the other two guys weren't involved in the second one, so it's kind of one of those. It seems like it's ignoring its sequel and moving forward. Yeah. So at the same time, it all works.
Yeah. So in 28 years, it's focused still on England. So it's like 28 days and all that. It just kind of stayed centralized, at least to Europe. So that's where we're at 28 years later.
Yeah, we got a whole new cast of characters. I feel like this one did, in fact, feel more like the first film. Yes. Being a slow burn.
It is. It's a talking.
But I like that it's now dealing with kids that have been born during this time.
Yeah, they know nothing else.
Yeah, and so they don't know about TVs and all these different things, kind of stuff. They
didn't know about the internet.
Yeah, the way we learned with it, and
I'm just like, what?
It's kind of starting as a coming of age, like taking a boy on his first hunt, but it's for zombies.
Yeah. So did you go on a first hunt to be a man?
I mean, it wasn't like that, but yes, I did go hunting when I was a child, but it wasn't the.
That's mean.
It wasn't the case. I used to go hunting all the time.
I think.
But it wasn't the case of, well, come on, boy, we're taking you hunting so you can become a man. You know.
We're gonna go kill some zombies.
Yeah, I've shot at things before.
Oh, well, that's mean. Anyways, I don't like that, but that's just me. It's okay. Anyways.
Nothing like walking out into your garage and a full-size wild turkey hanging from the rafter.
Wow. So that's the whole point of this movie is there are survivors. They live on a little island and everything seems great. So why would you want to take your kid out hunting? That to me just says like, hello, problems.
I agree with what you're saying, but I also understand it because it's that mentality of we want to make sure you know how to fight it.
I guess
and know that you can fight it on the chance, an inevitable chance that something's going to come back here and something's going to happen that we're going to have to fight up because you can't live in the peace forever. Somebody's eventually going to screw something up. We all know it.
They are. Of course they are, because they're dumb. People are dumb, and people do dumb things. Anyways, I really liked this movie.
I enjoyed it a lot.
The end was a little like.
So this has been crafted as a new trilogy.
Yeah. So
with Alex Garland and Danny Boyle had already announced it.
Yeah.
The first and second movie have already been shot. The second movie was not directed by Danny Boyle. It was directed by a lady, and I forgot who her name is. But I think it's called Bones, Tower Bones Kingdom, something like that.
Okay.
28 years later with an undertitle. And it comes out in January. So we know we're going to at least get 2 of them. Boneyard or something like that.
Okay.
We know we're getting 2 of them at least. Now, they said we're getting a 3rd one, but obviously depending on how well the movie did. I think the movie did really well. So I'm pretty sure we're going to get it, but I don't know. They also announced that there'll be the return of Cillian Murphy. But we don't know when.
Within this trilogy somewhere.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, we don't know if he's going to show up on a news broadcast. We don't know if he's going to show up as a zombie. We don't know if he's going to show up as the guy on the island after the end of the first movie and help figure out how to solve it. I don't know. They haven't really said. A lot of people speculated in the trailer for this one when it came out. There's a zombie that rises up out of the field.
Yeah, which is really cool.
And it kind of looks like him. And everybody thought that was him.
Cool. Yeah. The interesting thing about this, which I thought was like, but now that I've sat with him, like, okay, there are now different mutations of the rage virus, depending on where these creatures have lived or what they've been eating. So some of them, I guess, now they've eaten all the people, so they're eating wildlife or other things. So that's one type. There's still some that are eating whatever people they can find. And then we see now that they're a little bit more organized because they have alphas.
Well, because they're evolving like any species would. And there's an alpha in this movie that's an ongoing thing. He's an alpha for multiple reasons.
Yeah, and
even though they said that was a prosthetic.
Let me just say, there is a lot of penis in this movie. Not just his, but throughout the whole thing.
They said it was a prosthetic. They've never specified if that guy's penis is actually a massive size, but they said it was specified as a prosthetic because it's illegal to be running around naked with a child.
You can't have that. That's true.
Because the child, not they're doing any sexual things to him, but he's chasing after him and running, and there's craziness, and you can't have a naked person chasing after a child.
Correct.
That's illegal. Yeah, so it had to use prosthetic things.
But there's lots of nudity, just be aware. But they're also, because at this point they've devolved into very much just creatures. Yeah. And so that I thought that was interesting, that there is an evolution to them as well. I'm curious because was it part 1 that we learned at some point that they would die, but I guess they don't. I don't know. Like they would starve and die. Maybe that was part 2. But part 2 is gone, I guess, essentially for this.
But they evolved and figured out how to continue. It's kind of like the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. Yeah. They were supposed to die because of some enzyme in their blood or whatever.
Correct. But said at the very beginning,
they figure out life finds a way.
Life finds a way. So that's what's curious. And
this one has that slow burn mentality. Very much. And then you end up meeting Ray Fiennes' character, Ralph Fiennes. Ray Fiennes kind of plays the character that you see in a lot of movies. So it's like the scary house down the street. Yeah. That everybody knows is haunted, and when you meet him, he's actually not bad at all.
Just a nice person.
That's kind of his character.
I loved it.
And he's fantastic in the movie.
So
he's like
good.
He's creepy, and you don't trust him. But even the whole sequence with initially, you don't trust him. You're like, at any moment, this guy's going to do something jacked up. And
he kind of does.
Yeah, but not in a way
good reason.
Yeah.
And I thought so that whole sequence with him and the little boy and all that happens there. I was like, oh, this is heartbreaking, but also necessary because he's the one thing that proves for one time that humans don't have to be bad people. Yeah. Everyone else is, but he actually.
But he's also creating
a moment of
closure,
of respect and decency.
For but also there's that closure in a world that most of the time somebody dies, they get turned. Yeah, and there's chaos, and you never get that moment of death.
And all the stuff that he does is weird and strange, but he's doing it for a good reason.
He's being respectful. It makes sense. Yeah, his
his
whole idea is very respectful too. Yeah. It was interesting.
I thought it was weird, but
so when you get to the end of the movie,
you're like,
there is a strange twist,
and it's like,
and it's the twist. I love the twist, but it is almost out of place.
Yes.
Because what it's doing is it's setting a tone up
for
how the next film is going to be.
That's going to be insane.
Because it's kind of got a cliffhanger ending, which I know a lot of people were upset about. Because, you know, especially when I don't think there's a lot of people that know that the second film is already made. So there was that idea of like, oh, you're going to leave us on a cliffhanger. What if you don't make the money and can't make the film? And
it's done.
But it does this moment that's almost comical, almost action-packed kind of thing. But I liked because when you look at the characters, they don't match anything we've seen in this universe so far. But of course there would be different people that create these factions and different behaviors because it's in present day. So you'd have people dressed a certain way or
there's got to
figure out how to drive something or whatever the cast
and I'm
is.
thinking like there's got to be the weirdos that like worship the zombies.
Yeah.
Or just like in Planet of the Apes, where it's like, oh, hell, the mighty bomb. There's going to be these weirdo group. Well, I call them weirdos. Sorry, they're not weirdos.
No, they are
different.
Weirdos. No, they're weirdos.
Okay, but that are like, oh, this happened on purpose. It's, like, come take me.
They're going to create religions and stuff because, especially when you come from a world like we are now, where everybody has beliefs in something, it doesn't take much to find something to make you feel better by finding some sort of a belief that helps you make sense for the now or for what's going to happen when you die. And it makes it easier for accept things. Like a lot of Christianity, not bashing Christianity in a way anyway, but a lot of that really helps you feel better about death more so than helps you in life. Now, if you're fully in it and you're studying and you're reading it, then yes, it can help you in life and better yourself. But the bigger picture, it makes you feel better in death because there's somewhere that you're going to go to. You reunite with your family and be in the embrace of the Lord and all these things. And I'm not saying I believe or don't believe. I'm just saying that's kind of what it helps people feel. And you always hear these stories about somebody wasn't afraid to die because they knew where they were going, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we don't know if they're like, well, crap, sitting in the darkness and went nowhere, or if they walked through these big pearly gates and everything was what we expected. You just don't know until it happens to you. That's kind of what this stuff is doing. It's creating these new places.
And I think, too, especially in this environment where it's been 28 years of this life, you begin to be like, okay, this happened on purpose because either we were bad people or we were good people, or this was meant to be. And like, if you see throughout the films, the 3 films, the people that are like, yay, it's my turn. Can you meet me? No. Zombies. Or you even see the people that are like, if I give these zombies this person, they'll leave me alone. Like, you get all of these weird mentalities happening. But
I do want to give props to the people that play the rage virus zombies too, because
those poor people.
There's so many different people that probably would normally not ever get naked anywhere or do what they did. There's like some very large fat people, some skinny people, whatever. They're all naked. They're crawling around on the ground, climbing trees, going through grass, and I'm just like, I'm too tired. They were making me tired. They went all in.
Like, I'm not trying to run. Didn't you tell me they got people that could run like on purpose? Like,
a lot of them in the movies they use like athletes and stuff from the countries and stuff so they could do stuff and physically able. Like, there's a lot in this one that were not as physically moving as much, but they were like slothy and missing appendages. I think they're way more disturbing in this one, but this is years of them existing and mutating and being just gross. And
it's interesting.
Anyway, I love this movie. I thought it was
really good. So check it out if you like zombies. There you go. All right, next, do you want to go here,
sure.
here,
wherever?
All right.
I think the other one came out first, but that one,
that's okay.
It doesn't matter.
Talk about Brad Pitt.
It's Brad Pitt in Top Gun on the Ground, which is essentially what F1 the movie is. It's a story of a guy it's basically kind of like Top Gun Maverick, which ironically was made by the same director, John Krasinski. Not John Krasinski, it's John Krasinski, not Krasinski. But it's about a guy who's an ex-Formula One racer who now just races and all kinds of stuff. And a friend of him woos him back into the world of F1. And then he has to go in a head-to-head with this young buck who's on his team. And this guy's got too much swag. And it's essentially the story. It's a very simple story. There's not a lot of depth to it, even though it's the kind of movie you've seen a billion times in some fashion, whether it's Top Gun or Days of Thunder or any other racing type movies. But I think this movie, I really love this movie. I thought this movie was fantastic. Much like Top Gun Maverick did, where they took you inside the jets, and some of them, they do the same thing with the F1 cars and make a very intense experience for the movie as opposed to just watching these people do things.
I agree. This movie was so intense, you guys. So to me, the most intense thing about this dang movie is knowing those little F1 cars can go flying in the air at any moment, because I've seen the races, right? It's fiberglass. There's like nothing holding you down except the tires and the engine. And those tires, if you put the wrong tires or wear them out or whatever, you're going to go sliding. And then the other thing stressful is, so he has his little jump on. He's got his little mesh hat thing on in case he gets on fire. Then they put his helmet on. They have the collar on. Then they put another collar on. Then they strap him in. And he's like this. And then they glove him up. And then they hand him the little steering wheel. And he's like, this is all the room you have. Like, there's no way I can drive like this. It's ridiculous. I was like, I'm never getting out of this car. And if I go flying up the air and catch on fire, who's going to get me out? Because I'm all like this.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
I really like this movie a lot.
Stressful.
It's the kind of movie
It's a really good movie.
I didn't know. I didn't really care about the movie going into it. Like, I wanted to see it because I knew I like Brad Pitt. But
I like Brad Pitt.
I think we like him for different reasons. But
correct.
I like Brad Pitt, but I like the idea of doing the way they were shooting the race car stuff, which is what drew me to the film.
That's what I liked about it.
I'm not a Top Gun fan, but I thought Top Gun Maverick made the first movie better, that kind of thing. But I was worried that this was going to be a rehash of that same stuff, and on some level it kind of is, but it's very much its own thing. I think the expanding of Brad Pitt into somebody who drives all kinds of cars now gives it some different layers.
Yeah.
But I ended up really, really liking this movie. Now, I also talked to somebody who's a big F1 fan.
Oh, yeah.
Of real thing, and they didn't really like the movie as much.
And that's an interesting perspective. Yeah. I'd be so curious to talk more about that.
But I don't know. We didn't get to sit and talk in super detail. But I do respect the fact that, like, if you know that we don't know that race and we don't follow it.
I watch it.
So as far as we're concerned, I've seen the cars, I see them blow them, I see them drive fast.
There you go. That's all I know.
Extent of my knowledge.
Me too.
But I really, really like this movie.
It was a lot of fun. Really great performances from him and Javier Bardem. And then the other guy, whose name I don't know, the young man, Damson Idris.
Yeah, he was really good too.
So good. I liked it. I thought it was really good.
And ironically, I believe that Carrie Condon was in 28 Weeks Later too. I think she was the mom.
Oh, she was. Maybe so. She was in Sheeran.
I knew that. No, maybe she wasn't. Mm-mm. Okay, that was that other lady I was thinking of.
I just know from
interesting enough. Like, there's not a lot to say about this movie because there's no big twist and turns. No. It's a normal race movie. It's just a race movie. But I will say this is one you should see on a big screen
for sure.
A loud theater,
either Dolby, IMAX, or the extra large screen that we know. What's the XL screen we have? I don't know.
Some new thing. I want to go see something there. But because of the car stuff, it gets intense and you do get alongside now. The interesting part to me that's come out of this, because this movie has done so well, they're already obviously talking a sequel. Brad Pitt has already said, well, this really isn't a movie I should do a sequel to, because what else am I going to do? I've done it.
I agree.
It should follow the other kid and his career. Agree. But interviewing the director, after working with Tom Cruise on Top Gun, there's been talks of making a Days of Thunder 2. And so they've been trying to figure out theories, which I was always more of a Days of Thunder fan than I was a Top Gun fan. Stock car racing. And he's like, they asked him, because there was made a big deal about Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise on the red carpet because Tom Cruise showed up. They originally were supposed to make the Ford versus Ferrari movie years ago that fell apart before it ended up being remade or retooled and getting Matt Damon and Christian Bale. But then they had been talking about Days of Thunder 2, and somebody asked him, what kind of movie would you like to make, and if sequels or anything to get them together. And he was like, I would love to do a crossover between F1 and Days of Thunder. Say these two guys, racers, already knew each other. And you could easily send Brad Pitt to the stock car world because we've established already that his character draws everything.
All the racing cars.
And it almost become like a Top Gun kind of thing with bringing Tom Cruise back to be a stock car racer or to helping or do almost like the Javier Bardem situation. But you would have to get them both in the cars because Brad Pitt said in an interview, the reason of Ford versus Ferrari, one of the big reasons the movie fell apart was Tom Cruise realized he wasn't going to get to drive the car very much and didn't want to be a part of it. So I thought he was probably going to be the Matt Damon character who wasn't behind the wheel.
I got
So I don't know if that's actually going to happen. I think that's a fantastic idea of maybe doing it as a spin-off. And I wouldn't mind seeing an F1 sequel with the same guy racing somebody else and different levels of his career. But I would more so love to see those two guys in a Days of Thunder sequel that kind of connects and bridges the gap between the two movies.
Yeah. So
anyway,
check it out. It's really good.
F1's fantastic.
It's still in theaters. Go see it. Like you said, largest screen possible. We've got all the options, so go for it. All right, here we go. Rando sequel. Unnecessary, but you guys, I like this movie so much. I'm just throwing that out there. Go ahead.
Well, you can go ahead and start on this one. I've been rambling today.
Okay, so hopefully you saw the original. Okay, please see M3GAN, the first one. Don't go to the theater and be like, oh, this is a sequel.
Yeah, it's a direct sequel. So
yes. M3GAN came out in 2022. It's on all the streaming platforms. It's on the line somewhere. Go watch it. M3GAN was not a doll. She was a robot. But she was, well, I'm trying to think of what M3GAN stood for. I don't remember.
I don't remember. They said it in the thing, but it doesn't matter anymore.
Okay.
You'd have to type 3 because it's M3GAN.
But I'm finding it.
It doesn't matter, dude.
Doesn't even matter. So she created this doll, which is supposed to help parents free up some time. But what it actually ended up doing was the doll became the official guardian of this little girl, and she's like, I'm going to protect her from everything, even you.
It's AI and Terminator and everything all wrapped into and Chucky all wrapped into a.
Yeah. Because she was very aware. She could learn. She could fake emotion. I love in the first movie when the little girl's crying, she sings her a song and all that.
Oh my God, the singing.
And it comes back, and I love it. It's hilarious. I hate it. So that was part one. They had to shut M3GAN down because she became a little
overprotective,
a little murderous.
Now the first one was more of a thriller
horror-ish
type thing that very much not slasher level like Chucky, but that kind of thing where she's not insane.
Anything to protect her human.
And then she did anything to protect being shut down.
Correct.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it was like you could easily see making a sequel to this movie, bringing her back because it's not a character that can technically die.
Correct.
And bringing her back to torment some other people. But what they did instead was they Terminator 2'd her.
They did.
And turned her into the hero, which is also a fun idea because why not?
Yeah.
So the tone to this new movie is completely different. So they took that first horror element kind of thing, and this next one is more of a full-on action sci-fi film.
Correct.
Right?
I love
it. Little cheese, but in a fun way.
Love it.
They also intelligently address the fact that the girl that plays M3GAN physically had a growth spurt, made her taller, so they make her taller in the movie, and that's easily accomplished by just, hey, we're rebuilding M3GAN because we destroyed her in the first one. She's like, what do you want to upgrade? I want to be taller. So they made her taller, and then they introduced a whole nother character for her to take on. So now you have the T-1000 and then the liquid metal kind of idea of Terminator 2. It's the exact idea.
Yeah. So now this version is Amelia, the evil robot.
Played by Ivana something or other. She was Ahsoka, is what people saw her recently, where she was playing, is it Han... Shin Hati. Yeah. She was the Sith apprentice type chick.
Are they the ones fighting on the bridge in that little Japanese?
Yeah, because she's the one that's running around with the guy that passed away in real life.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. So that's
Stevenson.
her. Yeah. She was really good in that. I liked her.
So I was watching this movie and I was like, I know this girl from somewhere. Because she doesn't really have dialogue in the movie because she's just kicking ass and killing things. But I agree with you. I love this movie. It didn't do well. And a lot of it, I told you, Jason Blum, who produced it, came out and it's like, we thought everybody just loved M3GAN. We could genre swap the film and it was fine. We were clearly wrong. But I don't even know if that's why it didn't take off. I don't still know. But
I loved it. I don't care what anyone says.
I had a blast.
Had such a good time. I was so happy. We were in the theater by ourselves because we saw it.
We went at like 10 at night.
It had to come out.
Yeah, we went at.
So everybody's watching Jurassic Park
on Thursday at like 10 at night.
Yes,
and we were the only two people there.
So we're over here cracking up and laughing and having a good time.
We weren't.
I told them.
I'm still trying to keep decorum.
I know. I'm like, there's no one here, so I'm going to talk like I do at home. So I'm talking at the screen. I'm talking to you. I'm laughing out loud. I'm singing the songs.
My only saving grace to tolerate this for people who are going, how do you sit with that? Is
no one thinks
that I have to wear a headset to listen to the dialogue, so it blocks out a lot of her nonsense.
This guy, whatever.
I can't hear.
Anyways, I thought it was fabulous. I like that we even go to the level of government conspiracy with M3GAN's robot plans. Like, did you steal the plans? You're under arrest.
Yeah,
so
they actually delve. I feel like it's still relevant. I think it's what makes these two movies work is the relevancy of the AI fears and also the evolution of technology. There's a few things in this movie that make zero sense. There's an entire layer situation that makes no sense whatsoever how it even exists and how it's built. But you got to just let it go. And it's like when it showed it, I was immediately, I don't know if I said it, I don't think I said anything to you, but I'm watching going, okay, this is stupid. Are we going to explain this? And then we don't explain it. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to let this happen. So there are those elements, and they kind of play it up like, look, you've accepted this much of this character. Just let this go. But there's some great fights in it. There's some fun. They found a fun way to bring her dancing back.
And the singing.
Yeah, the dancing in the first movie was just kind of uncomfortably creepy because it makes no sense when it happens. And it became iconic. Where in this one, it makes total sense when it happens. But you could also tell that it was kind of put in there to be kind of, that's a thing that people know this character for.
Yeah, it was so good.
So yeah, I really, on some level, I like this movie more than the first one. But again, it's a completely different movie. I love them both.
Yeah.
I think this one has more watchability to watch it more than once.
Mm-hmm.
Where the first one, once you've experienced it, you can still watch it, enjoy it, but it's not that I want to watch M3GAN again.
I just like when she pulls that kid's ear off.
Yeah. So, but I also can understand that when somebody watches this one not liking it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't want this type of evolution to something different, you will be horribly disappointed. Because it is different. And it also, I think there's a level of M3GAN looks a little weird at times in this movie, but I think it's because we're seeing her so much. Like she's a full-on
she's the main character.
Dialogue character of the movie, where the first movie she's there, but most times she's not saying anything. And if she does, it's just like single lines and but this is M3GAN is a character now.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So
I thought it was fun. I mean,
give it a chance, make your own decision. Like I said, I understand if you came and said I hated that movie. It was stupid. I could totally understand what you mean.
Yeah, that's fine.
I had a blast with it.
And I want to do a costume out of that one pink suit she's wearing. That's so fun.
That robot suit?
Yeah, it was so cute. Anyways, there you go. M3GAN is in theaters now. Go check it out. Because if not, she's going to come get you. She said so during the
another one I don't think you have on the list to do today because it was only I saw it. I'm just going to throw it out there before we transition.
Yeah.
Because we never got to talk about it. It was the How to Train Your Dragon live action movie.
I miss it.
It is fantastic. I took it off because we had so many stuff to watch.
Well, I'm going to just throw a copy of our review up.
And we had so much to talk about, and you didn't get to see it, so I didn't want to waste a lot of time on that one.
Okay, tell me about it.
But I will say, Stud,
I did say
you just passed it. Right there, next between those two. Second row, last one over. Boom. It is really, really, really good. I had a couple of worried things because that's the kind of movie I expected. Hey, this could easily be adapted. But two big things were, would you have the same emotional response to it knowing exactly what happens? And with the unique designs of the dragons, would they work?
Yeah.
Or did they have to change them so much that they lose the quirky vibe that they had in the movie? And they kept the look of the dragons, but they made him work. Huh?
Did Toothless work?
Yes, all of it.
Weird dragon that's the fat body with the
they're all like that.
Oh, okay.
They kept the exact designs of the dragon. They just made them look like real dragons. And the movie works. All the characters are great. I think the girl that got the most flack that plays Astrid because she's more of a person of color than a blonde hair or whatever. But I think
she was a redhead in the thing.
In the cartoon. No, she was blonde.
No, was she?
Yeah, she's blonde.
Is she redheaded in
But
real
she
life?
fits more with the village in this movie, I think, than the blonde
That's fine.
in the animated one. But she's got the right attitude, and I think the movie just works. It's just so fun. It's well done.
What's it like to have Gerard Butler in live?
He was awesome.
Because he looked like they kind of made the cartoon look a little bit like
Yeah.
little
I mean,
face.
he's massive in this movie because of his outfit they put on him.
Nice.
The other kid, the kid that plays Hiccup, does a great job. He looks like the cartoon Hiccup.
Nice.
He's not just doing an impression of Jay Baruchel's performance. He's doing his own thing, but it all works.
Oh, this kid's in it. I love this kid.
Yeah, he's the
fish
big
legs.
Yes.
Love him.
Poor kid's gotten so big.
I know, but
bigger
he's
and bigger,
such
but
a
yeah.
cute little boy.
There is a couple of changes that I think might bother people. One being
I like that.
with the twins. Instead of the weird skinny twins, you got one skinny one, and the girl twin is hefty.
Okay.
But when I first saw her, I'm like, that's not what she looks like in the other movie. Like, this is different than the Astrid thing. Astrid looks like Astrid. She just got darker hair and she's a little bit darker skin. The other girl looks completely different than her counterpart. But it made the joke about them looking identical make more sense.
That's cute. Yeah, where they're like,
because in the movie, they
say
say something about you can't tell us apart. In that one, she says the same thing, the same line, and it's funnier because they're so different.
That's cute. Okay,
but
so it works.
But so it works fine. But I love the movie.
That's cool.
That's just a long, short version.
Okay.
So if you like the animated, go check out the live action. It's great.
It's still in theaters, so go check it out.
So I'm pretty sure we're getting a second one. And if you don't know, the live action one is directed by the guy that directed the original animated.
Oh, I love that.
Too. So.
All right. Where do you want to go?
The changes were made by the guy that made the movie.
Nice. Where do you want to go? Because we got a ton. Let's talk about this.
All right, get it over with.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's talk about ice road trucking.
We all know that we love Liam Neeson in this
We'll
house.
watch anything with Liam Neeson.
Sadly, he hasn't had any really, really great ones in quite a while. He's had some decent stuff. And I know he's starting to veer away from the action movies, but he's still got a few coming down the road. And back in 2021, he did a movie called The Ice Road, which was about some ice road truckers. It was a very 80s, 90s vibe action flick.
So cool.
That you could have easily seen, Stallone or Bruce Willis or anybody like that back, or even Liam Neeson back then.
Yeah.
It's a fine movie. It's entertaining, if not kind of silly. But you're dealing with the ice road gives it something unique. So for a sequel, we didn't need.
Didn't expect too.
Yeah.
You told me like, hey, there's a new Ice Road movie with Liam. Like,
which I knew they were making.
I'm like, that movie we saw on Netflix that one time.
Yeah, I knew they were making a sequel. I just didn't know they actually did.
I didn't realize
until I got the thing about it.
Okay.
But the sequel called Ice Road Vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
My first problem with this movie.
No.
Is the fact that there's barely any ice road in this movie. So it's really ice road and the character.
There's an ice road of a mountain.
It's more of a dusty snow mountain.
Yeah.
But I also understand just you could have changed the name of the movie, changed his character, and it could have been a complete movie on its own.
Yeah.
But its only connection is that he's the same character. Him. He does have to drive a truck of sorts, and they talk a little bit about his brother that's from the first movie, and that's it. Beyond that, it's a whole nother kind of movie.
I feel like the first movie was so impactful with the whole storyline of his brother. And his brother was a vet that had suffered some trauma and some brain damage, literal brain damage, but he was still there with him. He was still able to do all the work on the truck he needed to do. So I thought that was a compelling story.
Yeah.
And then, the brother at the end sacrifices himself for the greater good and bloody, heartfelt. Could have left it there. He comes back because his brother wanted his ashes spread on the top of the mountain.
They have a smart way of bringing it back in flashback.
Okay, yeah, so he's traveling with his brother.
In a movie in a completely unnecessary movie.
And this is another one where, like, I don't want to be anywhere where Liam Neeson is because I'm going to get taken or kidnapped or I'm going to get stuck on an ice road.
This movie is,
like, no, thank you.
It's not a great movie. It's
okay.
It's fine. It's that kind of thing. It's like the enjoyment of getting to see Liam Neeson. He doesn't really fight or shoot much. It's a lot of everybody else is doing it.
Yeah.
But he does some stuff, but I mean, it's just kind of almost like a straight to video action movie. He kind of, I don't want to say that he phones it in, but he's just kind of walking through that role because
he's doing the best he can.
There's not a lot to do for the role. It gets into a bunch of action that that I would have preferred them to figure out a story that would have somehow connected him to the story.
Yeah.
You know, so this is why he's stuck in this again, because it was a big group thing that dealing with in the first movie. So I could see between all the people that got arrested and the corporate stuff that somehow they came after him. But this one is he just happens to be at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, it's like,
and
no,
sucked into
I don't want to be your friend.
So you gotta ignore that stuff, and then the rest of it's just kind of generic action.
Yeah. So
there's nothing here that stands out in my opinion.
It was fine. It wasn't horrible. We'll talk about that next week.
Yeah.
This one was fine. So if you want to check it out,
Anyway,
it's on the line.
Ice Road Vengeance, I believe it's on digital
Prime.
Yeah, but you have to rent it.
You can rent it on Prime, but it's out there. Yeah. But I feel like if you watch the first Ice Road, might as well invest the $3.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you want to watch the first one, it's still on Netflix.
Yeah.
So go check it out. I'm sure this one will show up on Netflix
too. It'll be there eventually. So there you go. Thank you, Liam Neeson. Next.
Speaking of Netflix.
You'll go here?
Yeah. A few years back, we got a movie called The Old Guard. It's based on a comic book by Greg Rucka, and I don't remember the artist, so I apologize. I didn't know at the time it was a comic book. I'd never heard of it. I hadn't read it. I've since still not read it, but I know about it now.
This was in 2020.
Yeah, and ironically enough, they just released a new omnibus of it. So I'm seriously.
Oh, that's the way to go.
I'm tempted to or compendium or something like that. Anyway,
yeah, we were talking about that at lunch the other day. Like, we all love reading comics and stuff. Like our friend, she reads comics because her husband brings her some. But she's like, I'd rather have like a
collection.
Yeah, what's the other graphic novel? And I'm like, no, omnibus. Like, give me the entire run of something or an entire season. Like, that's the way to go. So yes, I'm
on the fence on those because as much as I love them and I have a bunch of them,
easy.
I also like those individual issues because I like it like old school television where you read it and then you wait for the month for the next issue to come out. You're anticipating it. Like everybody's forgotten the olden days because it's funny as the people
the olden days.
Yeah, because everything's right there now. But everybody complains about Netflix not dropping every episode or whatever something. Whereas we grew up waiting every week the week. So stop acting like you don't know how TV works.
And then you'd have to run to the bathroom during the commercial.
Yeah, because we couldn't pause anything. So anyway, we got The Old Guard, which is a action film with Charlize Theron. That follows like this.
I think it's Theron, isn't it?
Anyway, it's a group of mercenary types, but you find out they're all immortals.
Correct.
And so it was very successful at its time. And of course, here we are now with The Old Guard 2, now revisiting these same characters in their next chapter. Now, the first one had a little tag at the end, which they said that they was never thought they were going to make a second one when they made that. It was really just to expand the universe kind of thing. And then here we are on the second one. And of course, this one does the same thing at the end. It opened up to 3, but we don't know if the third one can ever happen because this one went through a lot of issues getting the second one made. Because in the middle of production is some of the ownership or something when Netflix changed.
Oh no!
And so and then I think there was a strike thing within there too. So some of it got shut down. So they don't know if the third one will happen or not. I guess it depends on its viewership and how well it does. But everybody's back and here we are.
There you go.
I really like this movie.
I really like this movie.
I mean, it's a little stupid at times, but
a little, because some of it you have to remember they're immortal. Some of it's a little unbelievable, but again, if you were immortal, what would happen?
Yeah.
And it does question the whole thing, which I would think too is like, if you're immortal, do you just get tired of living at some point after hundreds of years and decades and everyone you know has died and you make new friends and all those people die and you do it over and over again? Like, does that just get depressing? I don't know. Anyways. So
the story's kind of thin on some level, but it's not necessarily. It's really mission. It's really throwing a mission. Let's get some action.
Well, and I think it's interesting because part one, they were just mercenaries for hire. They were doing what they thought, like if it's a good job and they're killing a bad guy, why not? And we find what's his name? Ejiofor. No, Chiwetel Ejiofor, and he's like, no, you don't realize the good you've done. Like, because you killed this one bad guy, then all of this happened that was good. So now, in part 2, he's really kind of the one that's finding the jobs for them to make sure they are on the right side. They really are going after the bad guy. So he becomes a more central character. I thought it was interesting too, within their friend group, they've known each other for hundreds and hundreds of years, that the one guy, when he makes a mistake, they exile him for 100 years and how that works through. And then a character that's briefly mentioned for about 2 or 3 minutes in the first movie shows up in this as part of the storyline again. And then you find out there's a whole bigger world than what we thought.
Yeah,
so they're trying to add some depth of story, which I appreciate.
They're really not trying to, like, where the first one felt like just a normal action movie that with people that have to be immortal, so it gave a chance to do some really cool stuff with the getting killed and coming back and whatever. This one leaned a lot more into the world of the not supernatural, the immortal stuff.
The immortals.
And how it can transfer, and that stuff gets a little silly, but
there's a whole bunch. There's a lot, but they're building out a universe, which I always appreciate, and I like Charlize.
I do too, and I think
like
she's great in
anything.
Yeah, she's a great actress, but she does really well with the action.
That's what I was saying. Like, man, she still moves well, because I'm remembering, even though she didn't like it how it came out, and nobody else liked the movie but me. Eon Flux.
I didn't like the movie Eon Flux,
but she moved so well in that movie. What she did.
Well, and if you saw the animated, you have to move a certain way. Because the animated series, she's very almost bug-like.
Yeah. So, but I mean, she still moves so well.
Here's funny though. I've been a fan of hers.
She's so good.
Since 2 Days in the Valley, which back then nobody knew who she was, but she was fine as hell in that movie. She's in lingerie, and I remember seeing that movie, and I love that movie. But I'm like, who is this bitch? Like, I remember telling somebody back then, not that I suddenly knew something, because it had nothing to do with her acting in that movie, even though she was great. I was like, I don't know who this woman is, but she is fine, and she's gonna be a star.
Yeah.
And of course now I'm not sure.
What was that other one where she was killing people?
Atomic Blonde.
The Atomic Blonde. Is that one? That one right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love that. I just appreciate that.
She discovered the book Old Guard while she was making Atomic Blonde.
Oh wow. Doesn't she do something though too? She does some kind of martial art or something. I think she does.
I was bummed that they didn't bring her back for Furiosa, but I get what they were going for at the same time. But anyway, I think she was a dancer. Anyway, I like the Old Guard 2 was fine. It was a more action. It's more of the same from the first movie.
She's Krav Maga.
I don't know.
Okay,
I think most of her stuff was studied for roles and stuff. Yeah, like she's training.
I think.
But it's in one of those movies. If you like the first one, you may enjoy the second one. It's just expanding out the universe.
It was good,
and you can watch it at home, so it's even better.
There you go. It's on Netflix now. Let's talk about this one.
All right. The next one is the latest Prime movie, which I always get excited, but I'm also very hesitant because they have a ton of Prime movies that have a lot of big stars in it. And the trailer looks fun, but you never know how it's going to come out. With a movie called Heads of State with John Cena, Idris Elba, and oh no, I just went blank. What is her name?
Mrs. Jonas.
I know, but what's her name? I just went blank. Oh no.
What's her name? Now you made me forget because I was laughing. Priyanka Chopra Jonas.
But she's not as prominent in this movie as the poster would lead you to believe. She's kind of in a little bit at the beginning, and then she comes in the second half. So. But the basic premise of the movie is Idris Elba is the Prime Minister
of England,
and John Cena is the President of the United States.
Which in itself is unbelievable.
And before you say that's unbelievable, if you really think about it, he's essentially playing the Arnold Schwarzenegger character. He's an ex-action star. So it's almost like, what if Arnold...
I wish Arnold could be president.
Went from governor of California to be able to actually run for president. So we're finally getting to see what it would be like for Arnold Schwarzenegger to be president in this movie. And that also leads into, whereas Idris Elba's character was actually in the military and did all this stuff and built his way up and is actually a politician. Military. John Cena's character is a movie action guy, which plays into the actual action. So one of the things I love about John Cena that he does in his films and stuff is he's never afraid to make fun of himself. He seems to take it very seriously. And when he does action in this movie, he's not spoofing it like he's an idiot, but he's not a tough guy. He's just a big guy.
Yeah.
And so they lean into it. But this movie was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Like, it was way better than it had any business being in the context of what it is.
And what you were saying, there's one point where Idris Elba's character is like, come on, Jim Strong. Yeah. Because he is. He's like weightlifting strong. But Idris Elba is like endurance strong.
Yeah.
You know, and there's two different ways you could train. I mean,
Well,
that's the whole thing.
Idris Elba is an actual MMA fighter. Is that a bit different stuff?
They both move well.
Yeah, well, I mean, don't get me wrong. John Cena's very athletic,
So
obviously being a wrestler.
Big, but he moves really well.
Yeah, yeah. He's not lack of trying. He's not a lack of ability to do stuff.
No, not at all. And I think Priyanka too. She moves really well as well.
Yeah, but she's done a lot of stuff with Quantico and a bunch of other action movies. What's that other show she was in recently? We never finished it.
I know. Sorry, Priyanka. I don't know. Citadel.
TV show, not movie.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Love it. I mean, she moves well, which I appreciate because it's important in these. So yeah, they all did really well. But I loved them, and I loved the two of them together, John Cena and Idris Elba, because it's so very British and very out loud American.
Very dysfunctional too.
And it's so hilarious because that's how we are in real life.
Well, I like Idris Elba's character is disgruntled and angry, and John Cena is kind of this likable guy, and everybody loves him. And they're also at two different places in their terms. Idris Elba's been doing it for years. John Cena's freshly elected.
Yeah.
And so they don't see the same thing. They both want what's best for their country, but they don't think either one of them understands anything.
Yeah.
And it's that buddy cop, it becomes kind of a buddy travel movie too, because they get shot down and they're trying to find their way to embassy or something.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of action and funny stuff. And it's a fun flick, man.
It's fun. And then there are some serious moments, and some of the things that happen throughout the film, and I'm like, wow, these like the Secret Service people or your special agents or whatever, they sign up willing to give their lives for the president, no matter who it is.
All know that,
it's for the off. No, but when you see it again, it's like impactful. Because they're like, what about you? He's like, no, forget about me. You're the one that has to live. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I would not do that. No way.
Well, that's why
especially if I don't like the person. No.
They protect them no matter who they are.
I know. And I'm just like, wow, guys, this is deep.
I have wondered if they ever have meetings when they're like, when the elections happen and they're transferring service, if they have people that are like, all right, does anybody here have a problem protecting this person? We'll restation you to a senator or a congressman or something if you don't want to be here.
Some first family member or whatever.
Because there's got to be that human element of somebody's like, look, I vote Republican or I vote Democrat and I don't like this guy or I have a personal problem with this person. I want to serve, but I can't serve here.
Yeah.
And because they have Secret Service for other politicians, not just the president. So it makes me wonder if there's any of that, or if they just say, look, your Secret Service, you protect whoever it is, and then get over yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the human element's got to play into that at some point.
Yeah, well, it says they don't get to choose. They're assigned.
Well, I know that.
And the highest level is people want to get to president. You want to get to POTUS level because that's the highest level.
I get that.
I
get that completely.
But I don't know. Who knows? It's strange.
Maybe this movie will cross over with the Has Fallen series, and then he can protect the
There you go.
Anyways. Even though they are supposedly making another one of those. But I think
I love those.
It's getting closer and closer to the Has Fallen in Space kind of thing, I think. So.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, this is a movie, fun flick. It's a great crime movie.
It's fun. I'm gonna watch it again.
I will say too, Jack Quaid has a small part in it, and it's fantastic. It's one of the best action sequences in the movie.
That guy.
You hate Jack Quaid. I don't know why you hate him so much.
Just something
the son
about
of Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan.
His face and his curly hair. It's just bothering.
If you don't know who Jack Quaid is, he's the guy from The Boys. He just had that movie Nova King come out.
Which he was really good in. He was good in this too.
He's a voice on Lower Decks.
He just showed up, and I'm like, this guy.
I like Jack Quaid a lot.
Anyways,
his sequence in the movie is great. It's action packed, crazy.
This movie is on Prime now.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right, next.
I think it's the last one.
Oh, the last one. We have one more. Okay, let's talk about it.
So we're talking about the biggest movie of the weekend.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Jurassic World.
I think worldwide it made 300-something million only.
Like part 50.
Yeah, it's like the 7th film.
Yeah, so.
Jurassic World Rebirth. Which,
do I need to watch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
Technically, yes and no.
Okay.
You can probably watch the first film and then jump to this one. But the first Jurassic Park and the first Jurassic World.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can watch this one because this one does have elements where you see the original park, the Jurassic World Park, I believe.
A little bit.
But the importance part of this movie is really, if you know the story, this is a independent story. So where the other ones were 2 separate trilogies that kind of overlapped in some levels, this is very much its own thing. Its really only connection is one of the characters talks about how he studied under Grant, which is what's his face? Oh my God, I'm having blank farts today. Um, anyway, studying under his Dr. Sam Neill's Dr.
Sam
Grant.
Neill. There you go.
And then the fact that the dinosaurs are out in the world, which you get that from Jurassic World, Dominion and Fallen Kingdom, where they end up out in the world with the regular people.
I think you also need to realize that throughout the whole series, there was the one guy and that whole group of scientists that were always trying to create new dinosaurs or splice one. Like, you need to know that was happening.
There's some discussion of mutations
here.
in the Jurassic World stuff.
Yeah.
And this one fully leans into the mutation aspect.
Mutations and gene splicing.
This is also, I'm so happy to say, this was the first Jurassic movie to not make raptors front and center.
Correct.
Don't get me wrong, I love watching the raptors. I didn't know much about raptors until Jurassic Park came out. You know, I knew a lot of dinosaurs. That wasn't one of them that I knew. But I got so tired of every movie somehow trying to make raptors and the T-Rex front and center. Mm-hmm. They are both in this movie.
T-Rex is my favorite.
T-Rex gets a big
I should have worn a T-Rex shirt.
T-Rex gets a great sequence in this movie, but neither one of those are the focal point. So this new movie, we're getting a whole new group of characters going to an island for a completely different reason of everything else. But it's really more or less just saying that this group of people are dealing with the dinosaurs as opposed to every other been really the same reasons. You know, go back to the park. Okay, these people got out of the park, or these people got lost in the park. Let's make a new park. The park is going down. These people are stealing stuff from the park. This one got rid of all that for this story. But it starts off very much reminding you that dinosaurs are in the real world, with where we left off from the last film.
Yes.
Complete with a great sequence. It's like a traffic jam, all because like a brontosaurus tried to walk under a bridge and got stuck. And everybody's like stuck in traffic, which I thought that was an awesome.
They're just like this again.
Yeah. But well, before I get into that, so what did you think?
I really liked this movie. I'm not a huge Jurassic series fan. I love T-Rex. T-Rex is my favorite. I have 2 different T-Rex shirts where he's like...
you just have T-Rex shirts making fun of the T-Rex.
Yeah, but they're cute. I think, the first movies, I do like... Once we watched all of them, I do like them all together. And I feel like when we get to the end of part 6 and it brings it back to part 1, it's like, oh, everybody's happy and great. I love it. I like the newer ones better. My bad.
You're fine. If you really watched the first Jurassic Park, going by that sake,
yes.
I love Jurassic Park. Don't get me wrong. The magic of when I saw it in the theater when it came out. Did you see it when it first came out, or did you see it later?
I'm sure I saw it. I don't know. When did it
come out? Because, I mean, you didn't go to the movies much back then.
When did it come out? I would have seen it with
90s.
You. Then I didn't.
Because you didn't go to the movies back then. Because your parents didn't let you go.
1993. I would not have
seen
that.
I just graduated high school when that movie came out.
You're so old.
And so I remember seeing it in theater like most everybody else, and except for her. And
I would have seen it on TV.
The magic of that technology of bringing dinosaurs to life, and
it was cool.
The fun story and whatever. But if you really look at it, there's not a lot to that first movie. It's like a lot of the nostalgia movies. You go back and watch, you're like, this story's pretty thin.
Yeah.
You know, there's not a lot here.
Yeah.
But I still love it as much as I did from the time I saw it. Technology has gotten so much better now that we're used to it. So you almost see the flaws in the technology back then, and they come off a little bit dated. But they're still, that's also part of their charm. But these new ones allow so much more to do, and with each one of these Jurassic World movies, we've got more and more dinosaurs. This one, you get a lot of the classic dinosaurs, but we got a lot of new things because we're dealing with these mutations. I really loved the Jurassic World Park movies. Jurassic everything, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Even the ones that aren't as great, I still love them. Because I have one thing I need to see when I go to watch a Jurassic movie. I need dinosaurs rampaging.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or beautiful scene of them walking through a field and being majestic. If I get that,
you got it.
90% of the time I'm happy.
Yeah, you got both of those things in this one.
This one, some clever introductions of stuff. You got some big mutated. The movie opens almost like a horror film. It felt like the vibes of the first film initially, because the first one plays up, even though it's kind of an action drama thriller or whatever.
Yeah.
It has a little bit of a horror element where you're terrified of T-Rex and that kind of stuff. You know, not in a scary movie fashion, but that kind of monster thriller thing. This one opens with almost like a scary monster flick.
Yeah.
You know, and then moves head on into it. My only real issue with this movie is the other family. Because
there's two stories happening.
And one story was completely not necessary.
Yeah.
But I see its purpose. It created an opportunity to have two adventures happening at the same time. You know what I mean? So you have the main one with Scarlett Johansson.
But
and
it wasn't necessary.
It wasn't. They bring this other group of people in. A couple of them are super annoying. But it allowed them to be on a different adventure. So over here we can get these dinosaurs. Over here we can get these dinosaurs. So I see why they did it and its purpose, but it was wholly unnecessary.
Because I think your main mission to go get these dinosaur, whatever you're getting, would be just so like we're going to find this dinosaur nest. Like that's all it is.
Yeah, they're trying to get blood from 3 different dinosaurs.
Yeah, and the other ones, I feel like the other trilogies already had, because the characters involved already had a little human family aspect. This wouldn't have had that, so they made another human family line here. Now,
but I also like the other. This one, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you, but the family dynamic they deal with this one is with Scarlett Johansson and Marshall Ali, their history together and lack of family because of what they do.
Yeah.
So that gave a different dynamic of that same family aspect. They brought these other characters in that, like I said, gives a family dynamic. But I really think it was just to give them a second venture.
Yeah, and it's
look, this other movie would have been an hour and a half.
I like that dude because I'm okay with it because that's the guy from Lincoln Lawyer. So I'm like, I'll watch that guy all the time. Love him. He's so awesome. So whatever.
Okay.
What do I know? I can't spell Lincoln Lawyer.
I think this was a great addition to the Jurassic franchise. Like I said, it's a one-off. It did well enough that I'm pretty sure we're going to get another Jurassic movie of some sort in the future.
Millions.
I don't care if I see these characters doing it again. I don't really know if it'd make a lot of sense to bring them back. If anything, I would maybe like to see just all these one-off movies now.
Yeah.
Now, I would love to see them more dealing within the regular cities and stuff.
Yeah.
Instead of almost Godzilla-like, instead of always going to an island. Because this one's very much kind of Predator-like, too.
Yeah,
it
back
is.
in the jungle. But they did explain in this movie that all of the animals have kind of gravitated around the world to the equator. So it could be any kind of city. And the dinosaurs have gone to non-populous areas on purpose.
Yeah.
Which they needed to survive. So who knows? There's options.
I will give this movie props because we get to spend different kinds of dinosaurs. Like I said earlier, you get a whole sequence with waters that's almost Jaws-like. Mm-hmm. You get some other big crazy stuff like the one you see in the little picture that almost looks like a Rancor from Star Wars. And I know some people are not going to like, but I thought it was fun. I had a good time. There was one element of a character dying and not dying that I was kind of bummed out because I would have loved to not have the cliched saving.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I was happy to see when I saw somebody asking Gareth Edwards, who directed it, if he had a sequel plan. He goes, I have no plan. This was meant to be a standalone.
Good.
And not necessarily against doing another one with these characters. And funny, people that hadn't heard, like Scarlett Johansson has been trying to get into the Jurassic Park franchise for years. She's a huge fan. She's like, I don't care. Just make me show up somebody that runs by and gets eaten by a dinosaur. I just want to be in this movie. That's awesome. So this was a big kind of a bucket list movie for her.
That's cool.
So knowing that, it makes me enjoy her in this movie even more, knowing that she's kind of living a dream project. Yeah. So anyway, I thought it was a blast. I enjoyed it.
It's in theaters now. It's the #1 movie at the box office. So go check it out.
Making bukus of money.
There you go. Over to you, my love.
All right. So we got various things coming out. So this week we've got a movie called The Legend of Ochi is coming out, which I know of, but I don't know anything. A movie called Hell of a Summer, which is like a slasher flick thing. A movie we talked about a while back called The Rule of Jenny Pin is getting its Blu-ray release with John Lithgow.
Creepy.
And Jeffrey Rush, which is a fantastic film.
Very good and creepy.
Fallout Season 1 is getting released. Another one of my favorite movies of the year, Sinners, is getting its release. It just hit HBO Max, so if you have that, you can watch it now.
Go watch it.
But it's getting its Blu-ray 4K release. A movie that I want to see, but I keep my expectations low because these kind of movies are always hit and miss. It's a movie called Until Dawn, which I believe is based on a video game, but it's that one where the people are in the house and they're hitting.
Oh, where they keep dying
the
over
slashers.
and over?
Yeah.
No,
that one.
Okay.
Abigail looks like she's getting some sort of new release. Clueless is getting another new release. A Studio Ghibli movie I have never seen called Grave of the Fireflies is getting a steelbook release, so I'm going to have to look that up. Shadow Force, which we'll talk about next week, is getting a release, as well as The Amateur, which we'll also talk about next week. I think that's it. I think that TV series C is getting its 3 seasons released.
Wow, we never even finished the first season.
So I think that's it.
All right. Coming out at the theater on the line. So on Tuesday, there's a video demand digital movie called Oblivion. It's this girl who goes to visit her grandmother who's been suffering from Alzheimer's, and she's actually not been wanting to go see her. She keeps avoiding it, but finally she goes. And her and her friends go, and then suddenly they find themselves trapped in like a cycle of weird memory things where they start forgetting things. And it's like they're trapped inside the grandmother's Alzheimer's thing. And it's really interesting because it has to deal with memory, loss. Am I living dead? Am I stuck in this weird space? Which I've always told you, I wonder if those kind of things that are happening, like, is there a point where you're inside somewhere and it's like you're you, but the outside you is not connecting? Like, to me, that seems sad and terrifying. So it's an interesting look at Alzheimer's, wrapped in kind of like a little horror film. Coming out on Wednesday to Netflix, there's a movie called Zium, and it's a zombie movie. And this will be interesting. No, it'd be interesting. It's a Muay Thai kickboxer girl starts fighting zombies. You're going to like it, I think. It looks interesting. Also coming out to Netflix on Thursday, July 12th, there's a movie called Brick.
It's a different movie because there's another movie called Brick.
Okay, this is a different one, brand new. It's these people in an apartment building one day they wake up and their apartment building is like bricked in behind like this invisible wall and they can't get out. So everybody's like trapped in their apartments. It's really interesting. So everybody has to kind of work together to figure out what's going on. Coming to Hulu this week, there's a new documentary about Jaws. It's called Jaws at 50, The Definitive Inside Story.
That one I want to watch too, because knowing all the different headache and drama that went through trying to get Jaws made makes me interested in seeing it, because the shark broke down all the time.
Oh my gosh.
There's an article recently because they just re-released Jaws on 4K to celebrate the 50th anniversary. And talking about Steven Spielberg, who said he never watches his own movies. And he revisited Jaws, and he goes, one of the problems with watching that movie is he remembers all the horrible things going on. He's like, but watching all these things later, he goes, I liked it.
Yeah, hey, we all like it. Just that bum, 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 bum.
And he hated that music, and it became iconic.
Oh, it's so amazing. Okay, coming out this weekend for my birthday weekend, what? We have the new Disney Plus movie. That's Disney Plus Hulu now. Zombies Part 4, Dawn of the Vampires. So Addison and Zed get into trouble again. This time it's monsters, daywalkers versus vampires. I'm assuming you need to watch Zombie 1, 2, 3 to know Zombie 4. I know everybody's waiting for this on Netflix, Medea's Destination Wedding. I actually have on my list to go watch all the Medea movies during the week. And, of course, the big thing coming out in theaters this weekend is the new Superman movie. Who's the Superman this time?
David Cornsweet.
Okay. Don't know why we haven't.
Sweet. So I don't know.
We don't know why we haven't continued with any of the other Supermans, but whatever.
Well,
new Superman, new story.
This is also the official beginning to the new DC universe.
Oh, okay.
So with them kind of starting over, they said, we don't know if that's so because the movie didn't do as well. Originally, they said Blue, but Beta was going to still be part of the DC universe, which that bummed me out. That movie didn't do well because it was a great movie. And then Creatures Commando was the first official thing that came out, but Superman is the beginning of the new DC universe, and then the new Batman we're going to get, and all these different things. So scroll back up a little bit.
Is there anything
because that movie right there,
one?
No, the one underneath it, and I believe you go up a little bit.
This one?
No.
Hold on. Just tell me what movie.
That one.
This one?
Yeah, because we have a screening.
I am. I feel like torn. Well, like I want to see it, but I'm scared to watch it. It's a new movie called Sovereign. It's about the sovereign citizen movement.
But I've been
and this
down. I've gone a rabbit hole through
anti-government group.
sovereign citizens in court lately.
Oh
Getting
Lord!
pulled over 'cause
So
they're
it starts.
nuts.
This is the one with Dennis Quaid.
Nick Offerman, who I love.
Yeah, so it's this movie about a father and son who identify as sovereign citizens. They're anti-government, and what's going to happen when they come with a standoff against police officers. So that's coming out somewhere.
And then that other one right there, that one.
This one, a movie called Daniela Forever. Daniela is dead, right? Nicholas, it cannot live without her, and so he tries
Still
to
the virtual reality
go to some sort of a new therapy where you can go and still be with them, but it's like a weird dream state, and then it starts to, he doesn't really start to know what's real, what's not, what's memory, what's dream, who knows. It's interesting.
They're both limited release, but they're both what we're going to talk about.
There is a movie coming out to Shudder. If you have the Shudder network, you can easily get it for like $2 a month or something. It's I would recommend.
Yeah, on the Prime.
It's this realtor who's showing a house, and who should come see the house but a serial killer, and now he's trying to kill her at the showing. It's a movie called Push.
I've met some of these realtors. I understand that.
OMG. So that's what's happening.
Cool.
Okay, tell me about the giveaways.
So giveaways, we got some random stuff. We got some digital copies of Thunderbolts. If you didn't get to see the latest Marvel flick, if you're one of those people that are angry about the new Marvel movies, then don't watch it. But we got Thunderbolts. We also got some of Jason Statham's A Working Man.
That was a good movie.
Which I don't think we ever talked about, but it
was a good movie.
It's a Jason Statham.
It's Jason Statham beating people up.
Kicking people ass. That's all it is. If you expect anything different from a Jason Statham movie, then you got problems.
Yeah.
Then we also have some copies of the Alto Knights, the Robert De Niro, where he plays two parts. The sci-fi movie Mickey 17 from director.
No interest. I'm not a fan of this dude, and I liked this movie.
It's also directed by Bong Joon-ho, who did Parasite.
That's probably why I really like this movie.
I really like Mickey 17. Then we're giving away the Sean Connery 6-film collection on 4K.
A full 6 film?
Yes, it's all on 4K, all the Sean Connery films. As well as giving away copies of a Minecraft movie that I don't think we ever talked about it either.
But we now know it's our granddaughter's new favorite movie.
And it's actually a fun-ass movie. Neither one of us had any interest in that movie outside of being a fan of Jason Momoa and Jack Black. And we both came out like, holy crap, that movie was a lot of fun.
That's a lot of fun.
And we don't play Minecraft, so we know nothing about Minecraft.
We know nothing about
other than everything is squares.
Yeah, so who knows? But we would watch it now. Now we know.
Yeah, no one's half the battle.
There you go. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.